I also wanted to point out that when you're doing this sort of draft and you're doing this diagram and you take a few minutes to do it, you also have a much easier time creating and organizing your pages when you go into MobileMonkey to start building out these bots. So now I know, just for example, for this one, I need a quick question. I need a text widget. I'm going to have a typing widget. I know it, and this is my structure. I don't need to sit and think and just sort of stress out about building it right. When I go into MobileMonkey, I'm going to be building it right from the get-go. A new product line. Now here's another good example of why it's good to draft this out. Because if I was doing a new product line and I just went straight into MobileMonkey and I started designing a Chatblast for a new line of sofas that we have on our website, I'd probably just go and add a gallery widget. I would say here's a text widget that says, hey, first name, hope you're doing well. Here's a brand new line on our website, check it out. But now that I'm thinking about things in a more sophisticated way, I don't want to do that. I want to do it better. I don't want to just have a link of items. I want to use the psychological principles that I know. I want to sell this well. I want to be a salesperson. And how am I going to sell this? Well, I'm going to do this by understanding, obviously, my business and understanding the selling propositions of the business. And I know for, let's say, this client, sofa, it's price and it's free shipping, right? So goal here is to get visits and sales of new product. Okay. And what are the principles I want to use here? Again, we want to use some of these psychological principles. So maybe we'll do something like commitment and consistency, right? We haven't spoke about that in a while. And we'll speak about we'll do let's say urgency again because it works. Urgency, scarcity, maybe a sale. Okay. Again, the same goal. If we think about the Fogg behavioral model, is we want to increase motivation because perceived ability to buy a relatively affordable sectional or sofa online is high. So we want to increase motivation. So what is our bot going to look like here? So now with my goal in mind and commitment and consistency, I'm going to ask a person. I might start off with a quick question. How are you feeling? Right? How are you feeling? How's your day going? Okay. Then I'm going to ask a person to choose a favorite, right? So I'm going to use a gallery or use 3 images, let's say, 3 images, and choose a favorite, okay? With a text, with a quick question widget, right? I'm going to ask them to choose a favorite of the 3 images. That's going to help me with consistency. I want them to choose one of the new products that they like, and just that taking a stand psychologically primes them to comply with a future request to actually go and check it out online. I'm not going to ask them to buy it. That's too much of a request, right? We're not manipulating their minds in some very deep way by asking them to choose a favorite, but it's a subtle thing, and it will make them more likely to click a link and check it out. Because remember we spoke about that idea of cognitive dissonance. If I tell you that I do like this one and I like this one the best, and then you say, well, here's a link to go check it out, and I don't check it out, my previous behaviors and actions seems a little bit not in line or a little bit discordant with my current decisions. And we as humans, we have a very powerful drive to rationalize current behavior to keep them in line with previous decisions and previous behaviors and previous attitudes, which is why priming them with some commitment and consistency is very powerful. We probably would not have figured this out had we not been drafting this out. So I really urge you to do that. So we have the quick question. We have, okay, great. This is, and then I'm going to say something in a text widget. Well, this is a brand new text widget. It's a brand new line of product. And I'm going to use some urgency saying quantity is limited. Okay. By the way, we'll take a screenshot of this board and put it as a slide in case anybody wants it, because in previous courses, a lot of students have asked me for these slides. Okay, now the competitive advantage. Let's take a look at how we'll do this. And maybe we'll actually do a multi-page over here. So this is one I like doing, and we'll do this again with, IV hydration, right? Because we all love IV hydration, especially when we're hungover. So the goal of this blast is to educate and increase an awareness, right? I don't expect somebody or anybody to go and book a $200 IV hydration therapy in Las Vegas from the Blast. What I want people to do is start becoming very familiar with this sort of product line, become more aware of it, and just remember it more when it comes time to search for a hangover cure or other reasons or other potential benefits that people have been getting from these IV hydration therapies. So the goal is for awareness. I'm going to establish likability because I know that's the voice of the brand and of the client. So I'm going to have an easy time likability. I'm going to have an easy time establishing likability. And let's try to use something. Remember we talked about social proof, right? That's a big one. And this is a good client for it. And we haven't spoken about it yet in great detail. This is interesting. I think we're going to need our calls to action to both do two things: increase motivation because it's a new product and people don't really know as much about the benefits. And we're also going to need to increase perceived ability because I think a lot of the fears of IV hydration therapy is whether or not it's safe. And that's if a person feels that this is dangerous, that's going to be the type of thing which perceived ability, well, it sort of overlaps. It's like, I'm not really motivated and I don't really want to do something that I think is safe. I think it's complex. I'm not sure how it works. So the perceived ability is people probably don't really know the process of how this works. So we're going to need to teach them that as well. So let's go ahead and build our bot. So I want to start off with a question. I'm going to start off with a quick question. And that question is going to be, I think, and this could always be changed later, have you used this before? Have you done IV before? Okay, and then we'll have a branch. So we'll have two yes over here, no over here, okay? We'll have a branch, and we're going to send these to different pages. So we're going to have an associated page. So I call that AP, and AP, an associated page in my branch. Now, if somebody has done IV hydration therapy before, I'm going to ask them what they used it for, okay? For what? And I'm going to offer some options like hangover, skin, flu, headache, okay? Maybe I'll just let this be a free-form text also. I'm not sure. Jet lag, right? These are all the different uses. And then after they answer that, I'll be like, well, we have this educational content on our website that talks about all these different use cases and what they're used for. You'd be surprised to know how many people use IV hydration therapy for jet lag and headache. Most people think that it's only for hangovers. And a link to the site, okay? And that's a good funnel for people who already have tried IV therapy. And I'm also going to be saving this as a custom attribute, right? So I could use this in future campaigns. This is really powerful stuff. Now, if somebody answers, no, I've never done IV hydration therapy before, I'm going to say I'm going to ask them a question, what's holding you back? Okay? What's holding you back? And this is actually getting out of your typical structure of a blast, and we're getting more into a complex bot, but what the hell, who cares? This is going to be great. What's holding you back? And then we'll give them some options like safety, needles. I don't like needles. I don't like strangers with needles. Cost, time, or what the hell is IV anyway? Maybe they just don't know what it is, right? So I happen to know, and we happen to know that from our clients, that your typical reason for people being hesitant to try IV hydration therapy is safety. But if we didn't know that, this would be a great way. This is like a survey or a poll embedded inside a Chatblast, and this would actually be. Again, we could save this as a custom attribute. We could save this as a custom attribute. Then we could start building audiences around people who have tried hangovers, people who have tried IV therapy for skin problems, people who have tried IV therapy for flu, people who have not tried IV therapy out of fear of safety, people who have not tried IV therapy because it's too expensive. We could actually have all these audiences segment out and use these audiences in buckets of like people in future campaigns and give them very specific content. But anyway, back to the main programming. Down here, we'll have something like, once they tell us what's holding them back, we'll be like, well, here's a link to our what's in the bag what's in the bag piece of content on our website that talks in details about that talks in detail about the safety, why it costs what it costs, what the precautions are, how you go and get a physician's review. Very different than this content, right? It's different. But because my goal from the get-go was to educate, right, and give awareness, the goal was to educate and give awareness. I want to be able to segment out properly. So these people see this content. These people end up seeing this content that's more particular to them. Likability is going to be addressed throughout the bot as we build it and as we write it. Likability is really about the tone and personality of the voice. Social proof is going to come in. I didn't really put it in, but it's going to be in here because I'm going to explain how people who have tried don't realize that we've serviced so many people like you who've tried it for this, and social proof will also come in at this stage. Okay, so I need to remind myself about that social proof, so I don't forget. Because without social proof, without tribal identity, without likability, all the drafting and all the planning in the world is not going to work. So here we have 4, in my opinion, seriously solid Chatblast drafts that we're going to build. These are going to be real. This is the stuff we built for our clients. These are not so complex. The last one's a little bit complex, but these are templates that you could use, and I'm sure that you have tons and tons of ideas that will be effective for your own businesses.